Hello and welcome to DJ Force 10 in Conversation, podcast episode 141. And to continue what I started last week on my Friday specials, my DJ series, if you will, I introduced to you DJ Rasp. He is a 3-time British DMC champion, 5-time IDA champion, amongst other things. And yeah, it was an absolute damn pleasure to speak to him, as you'll find out during the podcast of how I sort of pinpoint him as one of the people that kind of got me back into scratching, which is absolutely fantastic. I love it. Still doing it every day, everyone, just in case I'm just not videotaping it. But yeah, if you guys are liking this, I've got plenty of other DJs coming up as well. Just got to get the interviews sorted. I'll announce them as and when they are complete. But next week, I just realised that Monday is a bank holiday, so I won't be releasing anything on Monday, but I will start on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. I'll have 4 new podcasts, another DJ on that Friday, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, back to the sort of like bands, heavy bands and stuff like that, which is cool. Got plenty of those coming up, plenty of new albums coming out. It's a great time for music, despite the situation. It's a great time to discover music as well, so if you are on the lookout for new stuff to listen to, now is the time. Explore those playlists on Spotify or Apple Music or wherever you get your music from, SoundCloud, Mixcloud as well. Go on there, discover some DJs, discover some new music. Just go for it. You know, just sort of look at a band, go to some of the labels that you like, and sort of dig around in their sort of like future releases, and go look see if anyone's released any new singles, and if you like the sound of it. There's a lot of the bands that I'm interviewing and this are releasing stuff in the next sort of month or so please go check them out as well. But as it's Friday, I hope you guys have a good weekend. I will see you back on Tuesday next week with a brand new episode of the DJ Force 10 in Conversation podcast. But yeah, until then, this is me and DJ Rasp. Enjoy. Okay, on my show today, I have DJ Rasp, former DMC and IDA champion. Welcome.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm very good, thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. I got my tea. The weather's all right.
Yeah, man.
Not sure what day it is, but, you know,
yeah.
getting there. But yeah, no, I just, yeah, thank you for doing this. Again, like I already said beforehand, I appreciate your time on this. I just wanted to sort of, I'm sort of doing a DJ series of interviews. I had I interviewed Woody last week.
Cool.
I got you this week, which is good. You're one of the DJs I wanted to speak to because you're one of the ones that kind of got me back into scratching and stuff.
Ah, cool.
Not you know, you probably weren't aware of it, but I was at the basically I left the country for a bit. I was a scratch DJ many years ago.
Yeah.
Mainly in rock music. Did it for a metal band and a few other things. And left the country, just lifestyle change, and we went to America for like 5 years.
Oh.
During that time, I kept up with DJing. I did a radio show and stuff like that, which I still do. But I came back and I went to BPM when it was in the big Birmingham arena.
Oh, yeah.
In 2017, I think it was.
All right.
It was you and Cutmaster Swift.
Yeah.
You did a little seminar.
Yes.
And totally against my sort of like natural, like, just natural being, I volunteered to go up on stage with you guys. So
I remember now. Yeah, we had a cut, didn't we?
Yeah. And that got my sort of like teeth back into it, because when I moved to the States, my turntables and everything stayed here.
Okay.
And then when I moved back and we got our own place, like properly got our own place, and my turntable was out of stock and out of the sort of like storage and stuff. So, and you had what was the record that I used? It was one of the rough tone ones.
Was it Practice Your Cuts?
That's it. Yep, Practice Your Cuts. I'm not sure what volume it was. It was whatever one you picked up from their stand.
He's done many volumes of that.
Yeah. No,
very good records.
Yes, no, totally, and it had the kind of like skip-proof stuff on it and stuff and things like that, which I was very much like. I really liked that sort of like vinyl because I used to buy. I think it was DJ Swamp was one of the first to release those skip proof.
Yeah, that's right.
And I've got a whole bunch of his records. Like,
yeah,
because when I was in this metal band, there's a lot of like people jumping around on stage and stuff. So
yeah, they come in handy.
They do. As much as you can balance your turntable, it doesn't balance against people jumping up and down in front of you. So
that's right.
But I just wanted to say thank you because it kind of like I was watching you guys doing this thing, and I sort of saw you in and around the exhibits as well, and it really got my teeth back into it because I wasn't planning on sort of getting back into it as much as I did. But you were one of the people that really, really just pushed that. Like, it gave me that kind of like that kick, if you will, again. So yeah.
Oh, that's good to hear. Oh,
Thank
great. Nice one, man.
Sorry, it's kind of a bit of a longer intro than I thought it would be. But yeah, no, it was just one of those things. I was just like, you know what, I really want to speak to him. And I've been watching your live videos and the videos you've been putting online. I'm just really enjoying them. Just sort of like seeing some of your mixes and stuff like that. But what I want to do is just kind of like sort of, find out how you got started and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where was the sort of like, where was your first sort of taste of DJing?
Okay. So the first time like I really saw DJing was probably, on the TV or something growing up as a kid, or that like, school discos and that kind of thing.
Yep.
But the way I got into DJing was I used to buy records as a kid, and I had, a MIDI hi-fi, just a single deck hi-fi belt drive thing. And I used to like just play records and create like little mixes.
Nice.
On the hi-fi, like pause tape mixes, so what I do, I get a cassette and just like pause and play the record and let the cassette go and, just make like little compilations without like gaps in there.
Yeah.
I did that for a while, and I thought, you know what, why don't I just buy 2 turntables and a mixer, and it'll give me something to do, and, I can, create my own mixes and experiment and all that kind of thing with it. So, I saved up for some decks when I was 18.
Yep.
And I got some like really awful belt drive turntables, that would just skip everywhere and stuff. And then, I just took it from there. I experimented with mixing and creating, mixes and all that kind of thing, and beat matching, then, scratching, beat juggling. And I just found it a lot of fun, and it just progressed, over the years.
Cool. So what do you remember the brand of your first turntables?
Oh, no. I can't remember. I got them from... There was an advert I think it was in Hip Hop Connection. And I'm not sure. It was an advert in that, but I'm not sure what the shop was called. Okay. It was like, it was... Yeah, they just like... it was like delivery service kind of thing, you know.
Yeah.
The second turntables that I got were some... they were made by a company called Sound Lab.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And, they were like better belt drives than the ones they already had. So they still wasn't perfect, but there was a lot better. There was a lot sturdier.
Yeah.
And I got a mixer that actually had a crossfader, because the first setup I got, the mixer that I got with the first set of belt drives didn't actually have a crossfader on it. Okay. So it was just like scratching using the up faders.
Yeah.
So the second... the second setup I got actually, the mixer actually had a crossfade on it, which was a game changer for me.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, the first sort of like turntables I played on, my brother had a mobile disco
cool.
like business. So he had one of these like Citronic, it was like 2 turntables on this one unit, no crossfader, just up faders, and like the amp built into it, and they were on like suspension springs.
I've seen them. Yeah, it's like an all-in-one built-in unit, isn't it? Yeah, I've seen them before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, wow. No, that's the sort of like my first sort of like experience with 2 turntables, and then eventually I got my own, like yourself, I got a set of belt drives.
Yeah.
Which were like looking back now, they were awful, but at the time it was great to kind of like, you know, I guess hone the craft, or at least learn, like you say, with guns you learn, you know, trying all these things out.
Definitely.
And it's a sort of like, I always recommend like any sort of like DJs that I've helped out in the past, I've always said like at least try belt drives, just so you can get that kind of lighter hand.
That's right.
Because you could go straight into like some of the heavier units, and you know, it's sort of like it's a very different world.
It is. When I first tried Technics, I couldn't believe how sturdy they was. But the you know, the operated are totally different. You know, when it comes to beat matching with Technics, you know, I was so used to moving the record and constantly adjusting the speed and twisting the platter and the spindle on the belt drives. When it comes to using Technics, it was a totally different game. You know what I mean? It was a different feel, and I had to like relearn kind of thing. You know? Yeah.
No, that's the same thing. Like I said, I set of I actually remember what they are. They're Gemini. BD 10s, I think they were called, but it came with a mix with a crossfader, which was nice. Like a loose crossfader as well, not like a sort of like one on a sort of like a fader type. Like I had a couple of like realistic ones with CD players. You know, the old Tandy ones. But they were like very stiff crossfaders. But no, this one was nice. It was I think it was the Gemini 626.
I've never used one of them.
They, I mean, for the time, it wasn't bad. It served me very well. Like, you know, the amount of abuse I put it through in learning and everything. So, but yeah, then I upgraded to another set of Geminis. Their direct drives use the same mixer. Just went up for there. And then on my 21st birthday, my mum bought me a set of Technics.
Oh, nice.
Which I've still got today. And that's a good almost 20 years later. So, you know.
Yeah. I'm the same. I got like one Technics in 98.
Yeah.
And my other one I got in 99. And I still have them to this day. I still use them on a daily basis. You know, I've looked after them. The only thing I've had to really replace is the RCA and ground wire.
Yeah.
But they're solid.
Nice.
They're built to last.
Were they the ones you used in your video the other day?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, there was.
Nice. Yeah. Set up in the kitchen as well. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Old school.
Yeah. No. I swear, like last year, I sort of set myself a really stupid challenge, but I did it. 365 days of scratching. And I put a video up every day of like anything between like half a minute long and a couple of minutes long of me doing various things, good or bad. Yeah, I know, it was quite a commitment. But yeah, no, the Technics I've had almost 20 years, and like you say, the only thing that really kind of has been replaced is the cables, and that's just because they've been moved around a lot, really.
Yeah.
But they're just solid, and I've got a Vestax turntable as well.
Oh, which model?
The 2000 PDX 2000.
Oh yes, they're great.
And I had that for like when I was in the band. That they were like it was a lot more robust than the Technics and a lot lighter. As in, it stayed in the grooves a lot better and stuff, because I think because probably the straight tone arm and stuff, it was a bit different.
Yeah.
But I've still got that as well. I've only got one of them, unfortunately. I did have a pair, but the other one stopped working, and I ended up selling it for parts years ago.
Okay.
Which I regret. But
yeah, as with everything, you might be able to get one on eBay or something.
Yeah, I think I will at some point, once I've got a bit of like free cash for stuff, because I spent a little bit on DJing last year, obviously doing this thing, but also went into the portablist side of things.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I like that stuff too.
Which is like, because when I was at the same BPM show, to be honest with you, and the DMC stand was right next to the Rough Tone stand.
Yeah, that's right.
Portablist Lounge, I think it was called.
Yeah.
And that got me into it, because the sort of like the sense of community in that sort of like scene really reminded me of the scratch scene back in the day as well.
Yeah.
Like it was all very like a lot of people into this hobby. It wasn't, not that it's gone like, you know, gone up its own sort of like arse or anything, but it's just sort of like there was a lot of like the DJ culture has changed so much, but this kind of brought it back to kind of like a community side of things.
It's great. It's great. Like, you know, I go to like portablist hangouts every now and again, and everyone just jams, and it doesn't matter on the skill level. You know, everyone just like you know, just cuts it up and just has fun. It's brought the fun element back to it, you know. So
and it's got a good entry level kind of like price to it as well, which is
definitely.
You know, which like because still like you can still buy Technics now. Thankfully, they've brought out a different. I think it was the Mark Fives. I think it will Mark. Where is it? Where are we now? Is it Mark 7? 6?
I'm not sure.
But, I mean, they're like over $1,000 for a pair still. Then you got to get a mixer. You know, which is like another sort of like minefield of
it's expensive.
It is.
It's expensive. But with these portables, you know, you can buy a new Mark PTO1, you know, with a crossfader, and then upgrade it to a Jesse Dean crossfader. You know, get a decent slip mat and a couple of scratch records, and you're good to go, man. It's great for practicing. Like that's the setup I have with my portable. I also have a Vestax Handy Tracks with
nice.
a Raiden crossfader as well. But, you know, just for the sake of just like, you know, just cutting up without turning on all my equipment, I just like hook up my phone, put it on a scratch break and just cut it up, man. And I have loads of fun with it, you know, it's great.
Yeah, that was the sort of like great thing with it, because like I bought it because I knew I was going to be away for some of the year last year. And I was going to buy one anyway, but it kind of like accelerated my purchase of it. But it was a great thing. I could just take it anywhere we went, you know, and I've got like videos of me in like next to Loch Fyne in Scotland.
Wow, that's ace.
Like scratching away using like the app on the phone, the Table Beats app and stuff. I just loved it. And then we did a meet up at the one of the DJ shows last year as well in Newbury. I think it was the DJ Kits.
Oh show. I've been there before. We had a meet up with the Scratch Link Up lot as well, which was really cool. And it was just good fun, you know. And obviously, I'm still doing it now. But it's I love, like I say, I love that community part of it. Really cool, because obviously it's not as like it's a lot more accessible than dragging your 1210s everywhere. Most definitely. You know, like I've been in bands myself over the years, and you know, like I started DJing in '96, and you know, I got into bands, you know, in the late '90s and house parties and all that kind of thing. And I've definitely earned my stripes, carrying turntables around and records and mixers and all this kind of thing. And just to have a little scratch or whatever, you know what I mean? So now, you know, it's just easier just to put a portable in your backpack. You rock up, you know, and just cut it up with people. It's great. Yeah,
it's awesome. So the other thing I was going to ask you about is sort of like the embracing of technology when it comes to DJing. And I've seen like a lot of your videos. You've got like the Rain 12s. You obviously use like the sort of the usual DVS systems and stuff like that. How have you found the sort of like, because obviously you come from the same sort of era as I do, and I sort of like, I was an early adopter of some of the early technology. I had the Tascam TTM1 for the Vestax deck.
Oh yeah,
which is like that. It's like an analog phase, if you will.
Yes, it kind of like rolled onto your vinyl, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and I was just sort of like, how are you an early adopter of technology, or were you one of the ones that kind of like held off for a little bit, or did you sort of like, you know, once it was sort of you know, did you jump on it early?
Yeah, I did. When the first CDJ come out, not the very first one, but the first one that had a decent platter. Yeah. That was like, you know, the blueprints of the modern CDJs. I think it was the CDJ 800. So when that first came on the market, I was in Manchester at a record shop that sold equipment. It was called Subsound, and I was with my friend, and we was in there just buying records, and we was just having a look at the equipment, and we saw the CD deck, and we asked the guy in the shop, can we try it out? And I was blown away by how responsive it was. I never thought you could ever scratch in a CD at the time. Like, this is very early 2000s, you know, 2000 or 2001. It was around that period of time. Yeah. And just by having a quick demonstration on this thing and actually having a hands-on scratch on this unit, I was blown away by it. I was like, wow, this is actually cool. It's different from scratching on vinyl, but I like it. I like the response of it and the feel of it. So, you know, a year or two went by, and I saved up. I actually got a set for myself, and that was another game changer for me because, like I said before, I was carrying a lot of records round and, you know, my turntables to certain gigs and all this kind of thing. You know, it's heavy duty, it's hard work. So buying these CDJs and just using, you know, my regular mixer, I think I was using a Vestax at the time, was great. I could just like rock up with, you know, two CDJs in two little flight cases, a bag with my mixer and, you know, a wallet of CDs, and I could do a gig for like 5-6 hours, no problem. You know what I mean? So yeah, I did embrace the technology early on, and as soon as the DVS thing come out, I got Mixed Vibes. I don't know whether you remember that. And then, you know, Serato. Excuse me.
That's all right.
Serato. I use Tractor. I've tried a lot of these things, you know. Even I didn't actually buy one myself, but my friend at his studio that I used to go and do cuts for, he had a Newmark CDX in the studio, and I really liked how that felt. You know, it was a powerful piece of kit.
Yeah.
Then I went on, you know, later on to use various controllers. I worked for Vestax for a little while, and I did some stuff for In Music, which, you know, own Denon and Newmark and all that kind of thing. So I was using like their controllers, and yeah, I really enjoy using the different bits of kit, you know, within DJing. I love the traditional setup, but I'm really up for using the other stuff too, you know. It definitely enhances your DJ experience. You know?
It does. I got the sort of going back to early DVS. I had the Final Scratch, which was the Native Instruments Stanton.
Yes.
Like very like Tractor version 1 kind of thing.
Yeah.
I sort of adopted it. I didn't really use it live because I didn't have a lap. It wasn't practical, basically. It's good for studio work. Which is what I used it for. And then, you know, now I still use Tractor now. I'm on their version 3 point whatever it is now.
Okay.
But I still, because I got their sort of Scratch Pro set up. Oh God, ages ago. It's an Audio 8, so it was like probably 10 plus years ago.
Yeah. Wow.
It's still working, so I'm not. I haven't had a need to upgrade yet. But no, I've used Serato, I've used Rekordbox, I've used Virtual DJ, all that kind of stuff, and they're all good. They've all got their own little all their own perks and everything.
I agree. But, you know, I've used a lot of them myself, and you know, I always find myself coming back to Serato though. Yeah. For me, that, you know, they're all good and everything, but I just find Serato's the most intuitive, and for me, I find it the most reliable out of all the DVS systems I've used.
Yeah. It's definitely,
you know, it's a personal taste, I suppose.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a solid platform. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I love Serato as well. I just don't have anything that really like runs natively with it. Because I like with like Tractor and stuff, I've just got it. It's all built in, so it's kind of like there already. I've not had any trouble with the Tractor setup, to be honest with you. I use it live. I use it at home, and it's never conked out on me. But I think that's also the platform you kind of use it on as well. I use a Mac, but it's just but Serato, I've used that like plenty of times in the studio and stuff, and it's a solid program. Again, it hasn't like never bugged out on me or anything.
No,
which is great.
No. Yeah.
And you know, I like next time when I'm looking to properly upgrade, once I'm sort of like, you know, fully out of date with everything I've got, I think Serato is definitely where I'm looking at next. So yeah, Serato's,
you know, it's kept up with the times. I think like Tractor, Native Instruments, unfortunately, you know, they're having problems with the company and stuff, and they're not releasing much stuff anymore. And it's it is a solid program. They got some really cool features. You know, especially with the effects.
Yeah,
the effects are great. You know, but yeah, Serato and Rekordbox are the ones now.
Yeah,
that's how it's gone now.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, that's how it goes with everything, really. There's always something that's going to like supersede something. So,
yeah,
you know,
definitely.
But that's where I'm looking next time I upgrade on that front, because it's sort of like just like the program that I see everywhere still. It's the one that's kind of like, and you're like with Traktor, I waited so long for an update, and then I found out they're having all these kind of issues.
Oh man,
it's like, are they going to be there next week? Yeah. But you know, I mean, I invested in Native Instruments. I use Massive. I use a lot of their sort of stuff, along with a lot of other company stuff like Ableton and things like that. But you know, it's just sort of, sometimes you just got to jump, and you know, I've jumped from Windows to Mac, and you know, I can do that with DJ programs as well.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, definitely, man.
So what was it like working with in music? Because I'd like they're literally down the road from me.
Right.
I've got like I've sort of had I say contact with them before. I know a few of the people that work there, stuff like that. But what was that sort of side like for you as a sort of like, you know, working DJ?
It was great. I had a lot of fun. It kind of happened by accident. So I used to you know, do the DJ competitions, and from the back of that, I'd get invited to do like trade shows like BPM or whatever. And, you know, I'd go on the different stands and see what's happening. And one time I was on the Newmart stand, just watching, and DJ Pogo from the Enforcers was doing a demo on there. And he invited me to get on the stage with him and cut it up. So, you know, I cut it up. We was having fun. He was there for a good hour or so. And the guy, I don't think he works for him anymore. A guy called John Bickle, you know, approached me and said, you know, would you be up for doing some demonstrations and stuff? So I was like, yeah, I'd love to, you know. So we got in touch. He sent me some D7s, which is like they're basically like 7-inch controllers with a moving platter. And what year was this? Would have been 2009, 2010.
Yeah.
And I made a couple of videos for them. And, you know, they invited me to do a load of, you know, demonstrations at trade shows, and, you know, like, you know, like retail outlets, like music retail outlets and stuff like that. So, yeah, and I had a good relationship with him. I was working alongside him, all freelance stuff for about 4 or 5 years. Yeah. And I still have a good relationship with him. Like, just recently, I've become a Rain artist. Yep. And, Rain, you know, hook me up every now and again. I do some stuff with them. And, you know, sometimes I use Rain to sponsor some of the battles that I put on. And I have a good relationship with in music. They're good people.
No, that's good. I was just curious because they're literally, like I said, they're literally a company that's just based down the road from me. So it's always nice to sort of like, you know, find out a bit more about them. But what I want to talk about as well is the DMC titles and the IDA titles that you've won. I was just because you've won a couple of you've won, I think it's 8 in total between the two competitions. Yeah. What's that? I mean, I kind of summing it up, but what's that like? I mean, I've kind of like, I've ventured into the sort of like when they used to have like heats for like DMC. Yeah. And I sort of went for that. Didn't obviously make it through, but I wasn't that good. But I was just sort of, what was that like? What kind of journey was that like for you? Like of coming up into that sort of like that echelon of DJ.
It was a lot of self-discovery. Well, I started battling in 1998. Yeah. So I started battling in 1998. And the first time I did a DJ competition was it was in Birmingham, and it was at a student university thing. My friend was studying over there. I'm from like the northwest. I'm from just outside Manchester, and so I went to Birmingham and did this competition, and that was it. I was hooked. I was like, I've got to do this, you know. Yeah. I went to a trade show later on that year in Manchester at the GMX Centre, and Cutmaster Swift was there, and he was doing some demos, and he invited, you know, people to get on stage and cut it up with him. So, you know, I cut it up with him, and then he announced that, you know, the DMC is coming to Manchester, and you had to fill in, you know, this form and, you know, send it off by a post and, you know, get accepted to do the eliminations and all that kind of thing. So, yeah, that was 98, and it was in the Boardwalk in Manchester, and that was the first time I did a DMC. And, wow, that was a hardcore experience, you know. And it was good. You know, I learned a lot that day. I didn't get through. I didn't make it even to the evening final. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, the DMCs back then, there'd be like, I don't know, 50 DJs competing. And, you know, you got to do an afternoon elimination, which is closed to the public. It's only DJs in the room during the daytime. And it's crazy intimidating. You know what I mean? It's just like everyone, just no one speaking.
Yep.
Everyone just like, you know, just watching your fingers, and the atmosphere is super tense. And yeah, it was hardcore, man. And, you know, I got up there and just did 3 minutes of bad beat juggling and bad body tricks, and I wasn't prepared for that, you know. Plus, also, I never used the Technics mixer, because that year you had to use the official DMC. I think it was a DX or DH 1200. I'm not sure which one it was, but it was it was the official DMC mixer, and I'd never used one. I'd only seen one on the videos what come out the year before. It was like, you know, the year that A-Trap won it, and you know, Pogo was in it, and Crazy B and all them guys. So, you know, I get up, I'm like, wow, I'm totally not familiar with this. And also, I wasn't used to using Technics. I'd only had one Technics. So I was used to using one Technics and one belt drive at home. And yeah, I learned a lot. I just was not prepared, you know, for what this competition was about, you know what I mean? So I went up there, did my thing, got nowhere. I was like, okay, watched what the other guys were doing. The guy that won the heat that year in Manchester was a guy called Peter Parker, who was in a band called Finger Thing, and he just killed it, you know. And I was like, wow, so that's what you got to do, you know what I mean? So, you know, I eventually got another Technics. I eventually got the mixer, the DMC mixer. Yeah. And, you know, I started taking it serious. And, you know, it took me a good few years to actually get through to the, you know, the nighttime final, to get past the eliminations, you know, and this is just of a regional, you know what I mean? Yeah. So you were allowed to do 2 regional heats per year. And if you were successful at winning a regional heat, you would then be taken through to the UK final. Yep. So it took me, a good couple of years. I think the first time I won a regional final was in the year 2006, and that was in Leeds. And I was made up, you know, because, you know, after a while of doing these regionals and not getting anywhere, I started like progressing and becoming runner-up or third place or whatever. But it wasn't enough to get through to the UK final. And that was my next goal. I was like, right, okay, I want to get to the UK final. And, you know, in 2006, I got to the UK final in the DMC. But the previous year, I did the ITF, which was the International Turntablist Federation. Yeah. And they had heats. They had heats up in Glasgow and in Leeds. And I didn't actually win a heat, but I got second place. And that was enough to get through to the UK final. Oh. And that was my first experience again in a UK final. And the actual final was in Manchester, and it was in the MEN Arena, which is a massive place. Yeah. And it was part of like some X Games. Okay. You know, they had like BMXing and skateboarding and you know, motocross bikes and, loads of cool stuff happening in one weekend. So the ITF was part of that. And that was incredible, So it was my first UK final, and I'm in a massive arena. I had a lot of home support as well. A lot of people come to watch me, and that was great. And I got to the... it's slightly different from DMC. I got to the semi-final because with the ITF, it was more like a head-to-head knockout competition.
Yeah.
So you had to get through a couple of heats and, a couple of rounds and beat certain turntablists, and then, you progress kind of thing. So, yeah, that was great. That was a really good boost for my confidence. And, I thought, okay, I did that. Let's rethink the DMC, re-strategize.
Yeah.
And take a different approach. And yeah, I started winning heats every year, and I was in the UK final quite a lot of times. And then 2009 came along. Excuse me. 2009 came along, and I did the DMC Battle for Supremacy.
Yeah.
And that is very much like the ITF. It's a head-to-head knockout competition. And it was 25 DJs that entered that day. You just turn up at the UK final and you just compete. You don't have to do any regionals.
Yeah.
I already won a regional that year. I won a regional in Plymouth that year. So I was already in the UK final, but the Battle for Supremacy was alongside the UK final. So I thought, okay, this year I'm going in for everything. I'm going in to do IDA, which is International DJ Association competition, and DMC Classic 6 Minutes and DMC Battle for Supremacy.
Nice.
So I did that, the Supremacy that year, and I was successful. I worked very hard on my routines. I had a lot of material, and I ended up winning.
Nice.
The UK finals, and it just felt like such a great achievement because I've been trying for years.
Yeah.
I started doing this in 1998, so this is my 10th season. You know what I mean? I didn't have a break from it. You know what I mean? It was my 10th season, and I finally got it. I was like, oh God, thank God for this. You know what I mean? I've actually done it. You know what I mean? But it doesn't stop there, because then you've got to represent, Great Britain.
Yep.
At the World Finals.
Yep.
And all eyes on me kind of thing. You know what I mean? So, you got to rep, and you there's a lot of weight on your shoulders and a lot of pressure to do well in the World Finals. So, I got to the World Finals that year. It was in the O2 in Greenwich.
Yep.
And yeah, I did all right. I didn't win it, but I got quite far. I got into the semi-finals. And yeah, I was happy. I had to battle a few people. I had to battle, I don't know, Hong Kong and a guy from Japan, someone else. And it was tough, especially battling the guy from Japan, you know what I mean? Because Japan always have good DJs, you know what I mean?
They do.
They're brilliant, they have a really good DJ scene. And the guy that I battled, he was Shoto. Okay. Yeah, he was really, really good juggler, man. And it was great. And it was a great honor to be part of that. And in the same year, I did the IDA.
Yep.
And I won the UK title for that, and ended up going to Poland. But I didn't really get anywhere in the world final in Poland. But I represented. I did my thing. I was happy with my set, and it was a nice experience, So yeah, then year by year, I was I won a few UK titles or whatever. And I was in world finals, and it was great. But the thing is, when you win a UK title, there's so much pressure if you continue battling. to win another one and be in a final and do well in a final as well. To be in a world final takes a lot of preparation, not only physically but mentally.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. And this is back in the days of using vinyl. DVS wasn't allowed in the competitions. Yeah. So some of it was using with original records, and then some of it I was making my own custom made records, that I would try out on Serato. Then I would go to a pressing plant called the Carvery in London, and this guy Frank, sound guy is, he would press me these records and help me with the mix down of them, and I learned a lot just from conversing with this guy and dealing with him. He let me a lot about how it should sound and what frequencies you should use, and what's the best way about mixing down your routines that will work on custom made vinyl, and so the needle won't skip out the grooves because the bass was too heavy and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So it was a good experience. It was a lot of hard work.
Yeah. A
lot of blood, sweat, and tears. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie. It was tough. A lot of sacrifice as well, man. You know what I mean? Not going out. Like I quit drinking. I've been teetotal, for a long time. You know what I mean? I quit drinking and smoking weed and all that kind of thing. To do these DJ competitions and just to be a better person and to, DJ and, be more on the ball with it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it definitely helped me. It was a good focus in my life,
Cool. Yeah, no, I mean, that's the most, like, I sort of like, my attention was turned, I wouldn't say I gave up, but I was the same sort of like you. I went to these regionals and didn't get anywhere, but I learned a lot, and it wasn't and it was exactly how you described it. It was a lot of sort of like shoegazing, a bunch of DJs in a room, and there was no public there. Whereas where I DJ, I like to DJ in front of people because it's you feed off the room as
you do,
on the sort of all the DJing sort of stuff that I did, and it was very different. But then I got picked up by this band, and we sort of had a good 10-year career with that.
Brilliant.
So and that was scratch DJing in a metal band, much like Sid from Slipknot.
Oh, cool! Yeah, great.
Same sort of thing. And do they still do regionals now, or have they? Is it all online?
Nah.
I thought so.
It's all online now.
Okay.
I stopped battling. When was it? 2000. Well, I stopped in the DMC in 2000 and IDA in 2017.
Yeah.
So that year I actually won the 6-minute DMC, the UK final, and I won show category in IDA that year.
Nice.
So I was in the world finals competing. The DMC, I didn't do too well, to be honest, in the DMC. I did my thing.
Yeah.
I was kind of happy with my set, but in the IDA, I did a lot better in that competition. I got 4th or something, but I was just happy with the way I performed it. And, I thought, okay, well, battling was fun. I did it every year since 1998 to 2017. I want to do other things now. You know what I mean? So, I was more focused on showcasing and doing gigs, even though I've done that throughout all my battling career.
Yeah.
I just wanted to do that without the pressure of, you got to win this competition. So every time you compete, you got to win it or whatever. You know what I mean? And, doing that for many years, it can take its toll. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to have fun with it and just do it. You know what I mean? Without thinking, I've got to win at the end of it. And it's, I will say it's a huge disappointment if you don't win or you don't place, because you put a lot of time and effort into it. And it's usually, it's 6 minutes.
Yeah.
That's how long the competition sets are. And that's a lot of time and effort into that 6 minutes. And if you don't do well in that, I used to beat myself up about it. I was like, oh, damn, I should have done this, or I should have done that, or I could have done better, or whatever. And for a couple of months after, I won't be happy about it. You know what I mean? I dwell on it, and I want to, redeem myself the next year. So in one way, it kept me hungry. You know what I mean? And I've got to better myself all the time. You know what I mean? So in one element of it, it did make me hungry, and it made me become more advanced. You know what I mean? For myself, it made me elevate myself. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm glad I did it. You know what I mean? I'm glad I did it. I've had a lot of fun. Yeah. Yeah, man.
Cool. No, I was still good because like I said earlier on, when I lived in the States, where I was living, they actually had regionals there for DMC in the States. I was based out in Tampa, so I had DJ Fader and Casper, like doing stuff out there, and it was quite nice. I went along to one of them, and it was really good because there was loads of people there watching scratch DJing, and it was just like, this is how it should be.
Did you compete?
No, I was there as a spectator for that one.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't have anything. I was well out of practice at that point. I had a DJ controller, but it's not that doesn't sort of like substitute for the turntable when it comes to that
you need the moving platters if you're gonna,
exactly. So man. But yeah, no, it was really cool to just watch because I've like what it gave me the opportunity was actually like actually enjoy it. Enjoying other people's like DJing and stuff like also this was in the UK, but I was a sound and light technician for a nightclub, and it hosted the regionals for the B-Boy Championships.
Oh, brilliant.
Which was absolutely amazing. Like I'd never been to one before. I'd sort of seen it in and out, but again, there's that sense of community. We sort of like the nightclub was kind of like, we put down this like flooring for him, a DJ on the stage, and it's just people sat around the floor while these guys did like dance battles and stuff. It was great.
Oh, it's great. I love the B-boy scene. I've been lucky over the years, as long as alongside competing and all that kind of thing, doing the DJ battles. I was involved with a B-boy crew called Soul Powered Militia. It was based in Liverpool, and I used to B-boy. I used to DJ for the B-boys and B-girls.
Nice.
I used to try it myself. I was whack at it though. I was like, I'm whack at this, but I had fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Trying to throw down and do the helicopter and a few freezes and all that kind of thing. But yeah, I thought that's not for me. But I love the music. I love the vibe of it, man. You know what I mean? In fact, I got a lot of inspiration, especially when it, come to me battling on stage from being around them B-boys and B-girls and just seeing how they approach the dance and the battle and how they feel the music. You know what I mean? So I got a lot of inspiration by being around them people, playing music for them at battles, playing music for them at jams. And I watch how they do it, and I think that's what I like. You know what I mean? I like the showmanship, and I like the, just dive straight into it and just do your thing. You know what I mean? And I thought, if I can relate that to my DJ battling, I think that would be a cool thing to marry the two things together. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man. Cool. Yeah, it's hip hop culture is a great thing. You know what I mean?
No, it's good. I like. So I come from more of a like rock background, generally as my sort of like main sort of like area of the music industry, if you will. But I've always loved that kind of hip hop like community side of things, and like the whole sort of like I say, I keep using the word community because it is. It's just like the bunch of people that are involved in it, and it's great. I've always loved the sort of scratch culture generally, and just sort of seeing where that was birthed and how that sort of evolved from being like more community based, get together, street parties, stuff like that. Yeah, and it's kind of like evolved into a whole industry, if you will, like the hip hop side of things, which is good to see it happen. Sometimes that can destroy things, but there's still that community there. Yeah, there is still that element. If you look for it, that element's always there. It's like if you, in like the rock sort of like community that I'm mainly in, you get bands that do exceptionally well for the genre of music that they're in, or they change their sound slightly or whatever, and that scene now becomes huge and whatever.
Yeah.
But you can always find that grassroots. You can always find that community level, that sort of like, you know, that scene that you had,
Yeah, man.
you know, so that's all good. Well, I've got a couple of questions for you, left for you, sorry.
Okay.
If that's all right, man. I know I've kept you a little while,
all
but,
good, man.
But these ones are my sort of like generic questions, if you will. I ask sort of everyone these. It kind of gives me an idea of where you've come from and stuff like that. But yeah, these are sort of like, what my first question is, what are your sort of like top 3 albums that really kind of sort of influenced you in the sort of like DJ you've become or person you've become, the kind of one that made you want to get on the turntables and stuff like that?
Wow. Oh, there's so many, man. Wow. Off the top of my head, Gangstar Hard to Earn.
Cool.
I used to listen to that. You know, I had that on cassette, and this is before I was a DJ. You know, I was into all kinds of music, but I loved hip hop a lot.
Yeah.
And yeah, I used to love not only Guru's lyrics, but Primo's beats and his cuts, man. You know, his chorus cuts, and you know the way he'd like scratch the words, and the way he'd like make like different rhythms with his scratching when he's cutting up the phrases. I used to love that, man. So yeah, I'd definitely say Hard to Earn was a big inspiration.
Cool.
Earlier on, around about the same era, maybe a year or two later, Pete Rock and CL Smooth, the Main Ingredient album.
Cool.
That had some really cool cuts on it. You know, he cut very different from Primo. He had his own style, and yeah, it really enhanced. You know, Pete Rock's instrumentals. You know what I mean? The way that he was cutting on it. Yeah, I used to really dig that album. And I'd say Return of the DJ Volume 2.
Nice.
I used to love that. When that came out, it was 97 or 98.
Yeah.
Maybe earlier. Yeah, I had that on cassette, and I would listen to that religiously.
Nice.
And yeah, I used to love the cuts. And I had lots of different DJs from all over the world as well. You know, you had DJs from Amsterdam, Norway, you know, US. I think Rock Raider was on there.
Yep.
Z-Trip, Radar, you know, all these cool DJs, and it was basically scratch music, you know, so you know, some of it was like proper raw where they layered up scratching drums and a bass line and some vocals and guitars and all that kind of thing, and that really like opened my mind that it's not just a hip-hop thing, even though it had the hip-hop mentality to it, you know, like I heard people like cutting up like guitars and you know, saxophones and all this kind of thing. So it was like lots of different influences in there. And it wasn't about the rapper anymore, you know what I mean? It was like, you know, wow, you can make a song just with scratching.
Yep.
I'm all over this.
Yeah.
You know, so I'd say off the top of my head, there's many, many more, you know. Yep. Off the top of my head, they were the ones for me, man. Yeah,
no, they're all solid albums. I mean, I love the sort of the Return of the DJ like volumes. Again, it's same with me. It was like hearing them scratching up the instruments, like not just an R sound, not just like a beat. It was everything. It was like, and it was just purely a DJ album as well. This was all made by DJs, obviously for DJs and whatnot. But I've still got them. I burnt them down to MP3 on my computer.
Oh, brilliant!
So I've got them all on there, all the individual tracks, which is kind of cool. So I've got a volume 1 to 4. I think it is. I think they went.
I've not heard 4. I didn't know there was a 4 actually. I've heard the first 3.
Got one more question for you. Okay. What are your? Because I mean, it's probably going to encompass, probably going to be your hobby. But what are your hobbies away from like DJing? So when you're not doing stuff with the decks, is there anything else that you do to sort of pass time?
Well, I like to make music.
Yeah.
You know, I use Ableton, and you know, I make my own music and stuff. I like to draw.
Cool.
Draw pictures. Do a little bit of, you know, graffiti, or draw some cartoon characters or whatever. Obviously, listening to music, watching movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Any favourite movies recently?
Oh, wow. Did I watch the Joker movie?
Oh, yeah.
I like that. That was really cool. I watched The Irishman the other night.
Oh, yeah. Was that any good?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, man.
Yeah.
It was great tale. There's a lot of detail in there. It's a
long
classic,
film. Yeah,
Scorsese film, and it's quite long, but it's really cool, man.
Cool.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah,
cool. No, that's it. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate your time. It's been a while.
Thanks for having us.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I wish you.
Yeah. Oh, thanks for having us, man. It's been an absolute pleasure to be on your show, and it's been good to talk to you.
No worries.
Absolute pleasure, man. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.